Now this may look like an ordinary Nissan Micra key, but what I'm driving is something quite special. Something that's got me out of bed at the crack of dawn, smiling. It's a Nissan all right, but it's the ultimate Nissan. It's Godzilla. So here I am in the Nissan GTR, the giant slayer from Japan that has terrorized Porsches and Ferrari for years. It finally comes to India in its 2017 avatar, and I've got it for a full day. But first, a reality check, which is Mumbai roads, and I have to clear this big hump getting out of my building, which is going to be a good test of the ground clearance. Oh God, that is painful. I think I'll have to move house if I had this car. In fact, I'll have to sell my flat to buy this car, which is over 2 crores. The other thing you've got to make sure is that the GTR gets its right diet, which is high octane fuel. Not easily available, but you do get it in the big cities, and that's what we're going to tank up with right now. 97 octane, bhar lo please. So we are leaving the city now, and I have to say that getting out of here in the traffic, the GTR is pretty much at ease. You just have to watch out for those giant size speed breakers and even that low chin, which is really precariously close to the ground. But other than that, this car is really just like any other Nissan. Or not. Every prod will pin you to the seat. But I have to say, this doesn't have that absolute harshness or hard edge of other supercars. And I'm right now in comfort mode on the setting. And yes, you do get a little bit of a fidgety feel, and there is a slight firmness to the suspension you can feel, but really it's far from being uncomfortable. Now the GTR, it's got a titanium exhaust for a better soundtrack, and guess what? We are coming right to the right place to check it out, which is a tunnel. Okay, windows down. Oh ho ho. Shift the gear down. Oh, that is a nice throaty roar. To really enjoy this car, the city won't do. So let's find an open road to open her up. Hand-built 3.8-litre V6 turbo petrol belts out 565 horsepower. Now that's about 20 horsepower more than the older version. Not very much, one would say, but this power is more than plenty, because in any gear, this thing just lunges for the horizon like a cruise missile. The 6-speed twin-clutch gearbox 2 is ultra-responsive, just a tug on the pedal and it's just good to go. And those responses are really heightened when you switch to R or race mode. Oh boy, put this and you are really in business. And what's brilliant is that the performance is just so accessible. There's a lovely broad torque spread. There's hardly any turbo lag. There's an incredibly strong mid-range, and at the same time this engine just loves to rev and rev and rev. Now what Nissan has really worked hard on with this GTR is to give it a broader appeal. Now the earlier car, it was a little too hard edge, a little too raw. This one is a little bit more refined. It doesn't really fidget about too much. It's fairly quiet also at moderate revs. So really a lot of comfort built into this. But some people say that this GTR has gone a bit soft. Well, all I can say is that for anyone who say that must be soft in the head, because this thing is just still so manic that the last thing anyone can call it is soft.
I head to a nice winding road to dispel that thought.
It's on a twisty road that the GTR really proves itself. I mean, it is just amazing, the levels of grip, the brakes, woo, and the way it just dives into corners. God, all four wheels, they just grip the road. It's as if super glue's been applied to all four tires. Woo!
The GTR's fantastic dynamics are thanks to the way its powertrain is laid out. You've got the engine up front, but the gearbox and transfer case are at the back, giving the GTR a near perfect weight distribution. And let's not forget that this is a four-wheel drive car. Being a sports car, power is biased towards the rear, but power distributes itself quite automatically between the front and rear axles to give you the optimal level of grip.
Steering also is so precise. It's just that around the straight ahead position, it feels a little numb and a little wooden, but the minute you give it even a little bit of lock, it is just super precise. You can just point the car wherever you want. And here in race mode, the tail also is just stepping out that little bit. I mean, this is one of the most incredible cars I have driven. It is just so well balanced, very, very neutral. You can just balance the car on the throttle.
This car puts all five senses on red alert. It's so involving, you can feel every bit of the road.
There's some pretty cool features in the GTR, like these multiple function screens, which just give you all kinds of information. You've got boost pressure, you've got coolant temperature, engine oil temperature. I mean, there's enough information over here that would make even an F-16 pilot excited. And what's really cool is that you can customize what you want. So for example, if you want to have your brake pedal and see what percentage of force you're applying, you can pull that up, or the accelerator or throttle pedal, what application you're giving that you can see. I mean, there's just too much information over here, and honestly, at the speeds you're going, it's just best to keep your eyes on the road.
I could keep driving all day, or at least until the tank runs dry. But let's take a quick stop to have a closer look at the cabin.
What Nissan has done with this 2017 facelift of the GT-R is focused a lot on the interiors. Now, GT-R owners have complained that the interiors really weren't up to scratch. The plastics were a little drab. The interiors felt a bit low rent. So what Nissan has done is they've really uplifted the materials over here. So you get decent leather, you've got double stitching over here, and fit and finish is pretty good. Nice carbon fiber finish over here as well. But I have to say, this still isn't a very special interior at all. It's very functional, and a lot of buttons and switches here which remind you that this is a Nissan. But quite frankly, this interior is all about practicality. There's decent space at the back as well, decent storage. And frankly, you're not going to be looking at the interior if you're driving this at VMAX, because at that speed, you really don't have time to take a look around.
The GTR is nearly a decade old, but the thing with sports cars is that they rarely age, and the GTR is no exception. It still looks really aggressive today, but it doesn't quite feel like a 2 crore plus car. The looks are more purposeful rather than being wow or dramatic, and the Nissan badge, that doesn't help either. That being said, Nissan has updated the styling, though the basic form is still pretty much the same. The car now wears Nissan's new family design, the V-Motion grille, and it now has a larger opening in the front to aid cooling. There are also little touches, and some of them are quite functional, like the side sills which are pushed out to aid airflow, and at the rear there are functional air vents next to the massive exhausts. Of course, it's the GTR, so the hallmark 4-ring taillights are there to let everyone know who they've just been overtaken by.
So here it is, the Nissan GTR. Now, it might not have the pedigree or the engineering finesse of a Porsche. It might not have that ultimate drama of an Italian supercar. But what it does have is mind-boggling performance. And on Indian roads in Indian conditions, it will probably make mincemeat of its rivals. The great thing about the GTR is how easy it is to drive, how sure-footed it is. It doesn't feel edgy or nervous one bit. This is the everyday supercar for the everyday driver.